I am very happy to be welcomed to the studio right now, Shari Moss. Shari is an author, entrepreneur, and an executive film producer. Shari, welcome to On TV and Mornings with Lou Ann and Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Nice to be here.
So you were kind enough to provide me with with copies of your books.
Yes.
Books, plural.
Yes.
I enjoyed them immensely.
Good.
Both very different, actually. Different
Yes.
approaches to one to customer service and another to sort of mentoring.
Yes.
But really all about that entrepreneurial spirit, about having pride in what you do, learning how to find resources, learn where your
Yes.
assets are.
Yes.
A lot of sort of strength-based stuff.
Very much so. Not just on yourself, building the strength for yourself. Where are you going to take it after that to help others, right?
So you were originally from Sault Ste.
Yes.
Marie, sort of a California, the Sioux, and
Yes.
grew up here.
Pretty much, yeah. This is my home base. I have a lot of family here. Yeah.
Nice. And
Yes.
then tell me a little bit about the story about how you ended up, your progression sort of from working in well, what would you say, in sales, I guess?
Yes.
Even in clerical you sort of started, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of what you'll find in the books is if you really, really want to get as far as you dream to get, I believe everybody should start at a very base level and learn as much as they can about whether it's the operation, the company, the type of business, whatever it is. So yes, early 80s, mid 80s, I knew that I was going to be in sales, some form of sales or marketing, and took a job as a receptionist in a wonderful environment to do that, to learn and grow. They were growing.
And in your book you mentioned going from receptionist, you were able to make a lot of different contacts, and you
Absolutely.
were able to find out who were the go-to people at all these different businesses that you were dealing with, and then you could arrange to meet with these people as well and sort of get a feel for what everybody did.
Absolutely, and that's the head down and focus and get the work done. You can imagine that it was the 80s, it was a man's world, and the market I was premiering into was wire and cable. Does not sound, very romantic, but it really was. It was governed by a lot of the good old boys. So what do? You put your head down, you get to work, you learn as much as you can, you make your contacts. And talk to as many people as you can, because why? You're learning from them, right? How to do your job. So I did move quickly into inside sales, customer service, outside sales, sales management, marketing, across Canada, because pretty soon you're working in different places in that job within the same company, and you're doing a good job. So.
And then that led to you becoming a business owner, an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You started off as partners, I believe, with
Yes.
your husband, your ex-husband.
That's right. We were both in the same business and then within the same corporation. We were essentially an unbeatable team. We both had the same drive and ambition and work ethic. He had his strengths, I had mine, so it was a fabulous partnership. The opportunity came to do this on our own.
Yes.
We knew we could. It's still a gamble. It's still a bit of by now it's the early 90s.
Okay.
So, we're still young, and but we did. We worked very, very hard. 6 days for me, 7 for him in the beginning to establish it, which we did. The first book starts way back there because, we were a distributor. So to be a successful distributor in any business, you have to offer something, right? Some extra value to the customer, and that ours was superior customer service.
Which leads us to the first book, which is
Yes.
called Dance with Your Customer.
That's right. Be ready to dance with your customer.
I love the title.
Good.
I do, because it is, as you say, the relationship that you have with your clients is
Yes.
very much a dance.
It is absolutely. The dance that I refer to here in the title is not the dance with you and your client, it's the dance you do together.
Together.
In your business for the client. Actually, Jim Donald loved the title as well. He uses the acronym DANCE. Jim Donald is, he's named one of the top 25 CEOs in the world, notably Starbucks CEO for about 8 years.
I wonder, because there's a lot of references to cappuccinos and lattes.
Well, he actually is endorse the second book. But
Yeah.
he was captivated by the book as well. He uses dance as his acronym. You can imagine he works with a lot of young people too.
Yes.
So that's the idea behind this. It's really a very simple yet very effective fundamental process of steps that I think everybody should use if they're
Simple, but sadly not obvious.
true. Very true.
This book in particular, having come from a service background, both in retail and in restaurants, and being a manager and supervisor at different
Yes.
times, I would say this is a book, if I could give this to a staff and say, you need to read this,
Yes.
I would. I believe it's a great, it's a workbook. It's a,
Yes.
and what's interesting in here, you also have sort of fill in the blanks. It's almost like exercises a little bit, but it's all about just thinking things through, and then you can compare your thought process with somebody who's been
Absolutely.
in the business,
Absolutely.
has succeeded. Very
Absolutely. That business I talked about us beginning in the 90s, yes, became incredibly lucrative. It was, we did take ownership of what we were attempting to do. In the last few years ago, it actually sold to, it became wireless telecom. I should actually go back a little bit and say wire and cable is the old way. We stepped into this when it became wireless telecommunications. Okay, so my
Whole new market
clients
opening up.
were whole new market. My clients were Nortel and primarily.
Wow.
We branched out from there eventually, but it sold a few years ago to a rather large company who wanted to take that on and keep moving with it. It was
That would explain why you
yes.
now have, pardon me, I just spittled. That would
Yes.
explain why you,
I
I'm
have
very
so
honest,
much
Shari.
else going on.
Well, also the fact that you have residences in Sault Ste. Marie, Toronto, and Austin, Texas. So
Yes.
obviously you've succeeded in your endeavors, and you know what you're talking about.
I do. I do.
Where now, and dance with your customers then was a natural progression to Table Talk, and we'll talk about that when we come back, plus more that's going on in your life.
Okay.
When we return with Shari Moss on Mornings with Lou Ann and Tim. Stay with us. So Shari, we were talking
Yes.
about the first book. Your editor
Yes.
was Megan Fitzpatrick,
Right.
and you forged a relationship with Megan that was, I think, unexpected, and it led to
Exactly.
others, and it led to
Great
the
things.
second book.
It led to the second
Tell me a little
book.
bit about that.
Megan is a millennial, and she is a very traditional millennial in the sense that it's that age, the level of work now where she's getting out into finding her place in the world for a career. Her and I spent a lot of time together in the first book, and she really took it to heart. As we mentioned, the first book is really for people who want to get ahead and need that sort of extra wow. This is wow.
Extra wow,
This is
I love that.
Okay? She took the extra wow, and at the time she was working in an office, and the situation she was in, we'll just say, was less than conducive to these young kids that were working there for them to grow and learn.
A little stagnant.
She brought she brought them out actually to speak to me, and so I could sort of help them based on the first book. What happened is exactly what's in the second book. It has everything to do with what do you do when you have experience and expertise and knowledge, and you're already set. You've made your way. You help others. That's the bottom line. The great people today, especially the ones the young people are following, Tim Ferriss comes to mind. These are people that in part want to help the younger people, bring them up into their passions, into their careers, into their lives. So we started doing that. And till one day, we were sitting on the porch in Austin, fabulous, fabulous place. And she said, I have a different relationship with my mother now. Oh, I said, okay. She says, I see her differently. I see her stories she must have and the things that must have happened to her, and I want to learn from that too. This was born, okay?
Table Talk.
So, really, it's incredibly essential for everybody to understand. The reason it says hearing the silent fear and bridging the gap, the kids aren't talking, they're holding it in, but they're very, very lost, scared, searching, stuck, one of those or any and all of those.
Mm-hmm.
They need to learn from us as much as we now need to learn from them. It's their world. They're taking ownership of where everything is going today, moving in business, commerce, politics, economics.
And
They're
relationships.
and relationships. They're the champions of it now, right, as they move ahead into their adulthood. So what happens when we both come to the table and we talk openly, honestly, and we give them the help they need? We allow them to speak about what it is they could be afraid to speak about their future. And we learn from them too.
And that, I think, is the ultimate message, is that you never stop learning.
Never stop learning. Never.
I said to you before we went on air that I think the best teachers are the teachers who are always open to learning from their students.
Yes.
And also, the interesting thing about Table Talk is it's not just mentoring. It's so much more than that.
So much more. That's the buzzword today, is mentoring. Take that to a whole
Other level.
And really get into, I do workshops, and this is part of what I do as far as, it's my giving back. I volunteer to do them, and I form them and I conduct them, and I work with millennials. And the first thing I make them do is sit down. We go through a process, and I make them sit down and really learn to define their core values, because that's where it's
I love that part of the book
You saw
too.
that in there.
The core values,
Yes.
because you examining your own core values is what led you, first of all, to become an author, and then carried you on to the next project, which is now executive film producer.
Yes.
And the message there not only is, once you find those core values, don't be afraid to make a new start, because it's never too late.
Absolutely.
So now,
never too late.
Can you tell me a little bit
Okay.
about this project that's coming, that you've already worked on?
Yes.
Executive producer of a film.
Yes. Okay. So
Love it.
2 years ago, I had the chance to work on, I'm telling you, it was a very, very fun, very cool project. A good friend of mine is a director of photography, Philip Roy, and he introduced me to Philip Guzman, which at the time he is a director scriptwriter. At the time he had this fun, it's set in the 80s, and it's a horror film. And it's
That's the best genre.
Can you imagine mid-80s, where we were all about Walkmans, Duran Duran, and horror films, right?
Yes.
So let's take a traditional, and it's college experiment, kids gone wrong. Okay, we'll just leave it at that, and we'll add the whole drama and the fun and the thing. It was great. So that was done. We just did a premiere in New York City to have a nice showing, do a Q&A, bring some celebrities and press in to sort of talk
exciting.
about it. It was fabulous. So it's on release, on demand, October 2nd.
October the 2nd?
Yes, because it's sort of the October thing leading up to Halloween.
Is it a working title, or do we have a real
Sleep
title?
No More.
Sleep No More.
Yeah, the distributor, the North American distributor, changed the name. They have license to
Of
do
course.
that. Fabulous trailer, though. Look it up and watch the trailer.
Where do we look it up on YouTube?
Yes, just Sleep No More trailer. That'll get you where you want to see it. He changed it to that title. It's fun.
October
it was
the
really fun.
2nd.
I have a cameo in it, by the way.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, Shari. I'm going to watch it for sure. And
Okay.
now, in the works is a bigger project?
Much
You never
big
stop, do
project.
you?
I do not stop. Why do I stop? I have an Energy Plus.
All right.
Right?
Will you come back on the show when the other bigger project
Yes,
is?
I will.
We can talk about it more?
Yes. That one is going to be star-studded.
Star-studded.
Yes.
Oh, I want to come on set. I want to fly me down to Austin or wherever you're shooting it, and I want to. Maybe I can have a cameo. Listen, it's been really a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
And tell your Aunt Kathy Chapetta, who was my grade 3 and 4 teacher, that I like her a lot.
I will
and
tell
that
her.
I said hello.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I will tell her
Thanks
that.
for your time.
Okay.
Enjoy the
Tim.
rest of your summer up here in the
Thanks, Tim.
Sioux. And
Thanks, Tim.
and
Thanks for having me.
A pleasure. We'll see you the next time
good.
on TV.
Yes.
And we'll see you right after this.